Does DHS have operational control of our entire border?
No, sir. We tore down perfectly good infrastructure system in some areas that we should have just left alone. Del Rio was a perfect example of that.
And we had 200 plus wall that was appropriated, and the President of the United States, President Biden, by executive order, shut that down. Do you disagree with his decision to shut down the construction?
Yes, sir.
Well, stunning testimony from our U.S. Border Patrol Chief, Raul Ortiz, at the House Homeland Security hearing yesterday. Now, Ortiz declared that the U.S. does not have operational control of the border, in stark contrast with previous public pronouncements from Secretary of Homeland Security Alejandro Mayorkas. Here to weigh in is Arizona Congressman Andy Biggs. He chairs the Border Secretary Caucus and the War Powers Caucus. He also sits on the House Oversight and Accountability Committee. Congressman, I appreciate you taking the time for us tonight. I'll get right to it. So we don't have control of our border.
Chris, that's exactly right. So Chief Ortiz has said it. Some of the section border chiefs have said it. So like Tucson and Rio Grande Valley both said it in testimony a couple of weeks ago. And what they said is even more stark than what Chief Ortiz admitted. And that is that the cartels, the narco-terrorist organizations actually control our border. And I'll tell you, Chris, you got Secretary Mayorkas under oath saying that the border is operationally controlled. That's just not true. It's a fabrication. It's a prevarication. It's a lie. And I'm glad that we're finally seeing some of our CBP agents and leaders speak out and tell the truth.
So, Congressman, I noticed that there were 15 empty chairs. There were a bunch of Democrats promised to come, and then none of them showed up.
No, yeah, they don't want to see this, Chris. They don't want to be associated with it. They didn't come when we had the hearing in Yuma, Arizona a couple weeks back. So no Democrat came to the judiciary hearing or the Homeland Security hearing, even though they'll sit there and tell us in Congress in Washington, D.C., when very few people get to see this, they'll say, oh, it's not a problem. It's not an issue. The reality is our border is wide open. It's by design. This is what they want.
Well, Congressman, if they put their head in the sand far enough, obviously there is no problem because they don't see it. You made a quick trip to the southern border this week. One of your stops was over the Rio Grande River, where many illegals, they're trying to cross. So here's what you had to say about that earlier.
In one 4-day stretch last year, they had some flooding. 16 people drowned within 4 days right along in this area because underneath that water, it just takes out people's legs. Some people don't know how to swim. Very dangerous. The humanitarian side says let's secure the border so these people don't risk their lives.
Yeah. So I mean, how does a Democrat not see that and be like, man, this is an important issue. I should really at least show up at the hearing?
Yeah, you know, Chris, what they'll tell you is they'll say, yeah, Biggs is right. It's a humanitarian issue. So what we want to do is we want to let just everybody in. That's their answer in response to that. But you know where I was standing right there, Chris? There were 6 people that had just literally come across the river, and they were standing next to one of the containers that Governor Abbott had put there to block and deter traffic. But there was 6 people sitting right there, sopping wet, having just crossed the border.
Yeah. Well, Congressman, before I let you go, I got about a minute left. I want to talk about the Biden crime syndicate. This tweet from Fox News' Geraldo Rivera was actually kind of sparking a little bit of debate. He said Hunter has been investigated for almost 5 years. Aside from the fact he's been a junkie, dirtbag, nothing remotely criminal has been uncovered, put up, or shut up. 2 things to that, Congressman. One, would he apply that same standard to Donald Trump because they actually haven't found anything? And 2, why is it taking so long to press charges against a guy who had significant criminality in pictures on his own laptop?
It's taken a long time because the FBI suppressed the evidence. Remember, they sat on that laptop for a year before it started coming out. It started leaking out. Second thing, Merrick Garland, he is the Attorney General. He is a Biden appointee. He's not going to prosecute anybody in the Biden criminal syndicate. So that's just the way that goes. And so we are going to have to wait until we get a new Attorney General in there who's willing to take a look at this evidence that we're adducing in the Oversight Committee and see if we can get charges filed at that time. That's really the bottom line. I'm just being brutally straightforward with you, Chris, and you know that I'm going to just tell you exactly the way it is.
Yeah. And that's why we have you on, sir, is because you shoot it straight all the time. Congressman Andy Biggs, we appreciate you being here, sir.
Thank you, Chris. Always
right.
good to be with you.